Read about the things that happen throughout the world. Don't believe in everything you see or hear. Read all about it. Read all about it. Listen to the world. Listen to the world. Read all about it. Listen to the world. Listen to the world.
The next round is called If This Is the Answer, What Is the Question? On the board are 6 categories. Michael, which category would you like?
I would like the category of crime, please, Dara.
Okay. Crime it is. The answer is 25 pence. What is the question?
What is the British name for American rapper 50 Cent?
Is it, how much would I have to be paid up front to kill Jeremy Clarkson?
What fee guarantees Dean Gaffney's appearance at a party?
What's top prize on Romanian Deal or No Deal? Can I just take the box?
I could use it for shoes.
I'm going to steer towards the correct answer. Does anyone actually have any idea what was worth 25
It's something to do with money, isn't it?
It's something to do with money. It's to do with the real cost of something that was...
It was Viagra.
Absolutely right. Yes, the question I was looking for. Yes, the question I was looking for is how much were a criminal gang paying for fake Viagra tablets that they later sold for up to £20 each. Several members of an international network were found guilty of making millions from producing counterfeit Viagra and anti-baldness tablets at factories in Asia. How's the scam uncovered?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It doesn't grow your bloody hair back.
It was uncovered by excellent work from Customs and Excise, apparently, whereas it should have been uncovered by someone going, hang on a minute, I'm sure something's meant to happen.
I took Viagra once. I took Viagra and I had a hard-on for so long I had to give it its own shelf in the fridge.
Did anyone see the News 24 reaction? It was fantastic, because it just came out, news just in, and they found out about the Viagra case, and it was brilliant, because they were doing little puns. They were generally kind of going, I bet that's a hard case. They'll get a stiff sentence, and then you could genuinely see they obviously got a word in their ear, and they went, yeah, OK.
It's great we've got a drug to help old people have sex, isn't it? I love old people who've got that little twinkle in their eye, you know, and you're there playing Scrabble with your grandparents, and your grandpa puts down Viagra on a double word score and just goes...
I wonder about that old woman that gave birth at 63. Because that baby can't have had to force its way out. I mean, every time she went for a shit, it probably had to brace itself. But at the end of the Italian job or something.
Why has George Osborne been dragged into the phone hacking scandal?
Because he was already involved in it in the beginning.
He was formerly friends with someone who ran a prostitution distribution business. This lady claims that she and George Osborne took cocaine together. George Osborne,
he strenuously
denies taking prostitutes' cocaine.
And possibly all other forms of cocaine. We have to legally say that there's no... But he strenuously denies it. And do you know why I think this is a failed opportunity? This woman ran a high-class escort service and nobody's asked her what she thinks of the 50% tax rate. But if there's anyone who would have strong feelings of that, it'd be hookers, who after half an hour must be going, geez, I'm doing this for the government now.
Wasn't the agency, it was a specialist agency, wasn't it? It was called Black Beauties.
So, ponies?
No. It was all black women. Were you looking at me like that for?
This is speaking. I thought you'd find it more polite. I'm happy to look over at Chris while she's speaking, but...
Dance for you, Andy, whilst
No, because I said it's called Black Beauties. You look at me like I was about to confess something. I just read it.
Would you see if she said it's Black Beauties, then we all slowly turned away? Like that scene in 12 Angry Men. No.
It
It's amazing, isn't it, that they actually found out so much for the phone hacking? Because let's face it, if you've got anything important to say to people, you don't tend to leave it on their answer phone message. You go, oh, call us back, don't you? You don't go, oh, yes, I've booked all those prostitutes in Nazi uniforms and I've buried the body at the bottom of the garden. Anyway, let's hope nobody finds out about this. Call me back.
And I'm on the train.
That's the kind of story you would expect to see, wouldn't you? Hugh Grant's girlfriend says she's on train, she'll be about half an hour. Would Hugh like her to pick up some milk on the way back? Hugh Grant's mum says she doesn't really like talking to these sorts of things. She's going to put your dad on.
Well, there was another one, wasn't there, phone hacking this week?
There was, yeah.
Which was David Blunkett,
yeah.
wasn't it? And do you know how they know it was David Blunkett? Because when the phone's answered, there's a dog saying, Dave, it's for you, mate.
Surely he's one of the only ones who didn't need to sort of hack. You could just sneak up and just stand next to him.
That's very good. And you the amount of fake photographs of him doing cocaine, because you just go, in any social situation, just put the plate filled with cocaine. Yeah, but it was mundane, because people just didn't change their codes on the thing, and their argument was, well, it was just there.
I think it's crazy that people don't change their code anyway. Mine's 6791.
It's easy for you to remember, isn't it? Because it's the year you were born, 67, followed by the year you lost your virginity.
Yep, well, I'm pleased about that, because you've made me slightly younger than I actually am.
And it means you've had sex at least once.
Our next round is called Newsreel. We play in a recent piece of footage featuring people in the news and ask Hugh to suggest what might be being said. This week's clip features the royal family.
Oh, my God, my arse has gone to sleep. Well, it's so difficult to decide from one test drive. I think it's a toss-up between this and the Vauxhall Astra. What do you think, Liz?
Well, why don't you ask them if they can do a deal?
Oh, this is a strange dealership. Fancy dress. I see. Liz, this come was one of the girls from Sheila's Wheels. I want the big one out the front, all leathered up. It's not the first time I've said that.
I'm not in fancy dress, actually. I'm a proper judge.
Oh, can you get me a super injunction?
What have you done?
Oh, practically everything.
Well, as you can see from the footage from the speed camera, it's a black Daimler with bulletproof glass, registration plate HRH1. So if you can decide which of the two of you was driving, you'll be saving yourself a lot of time and indeed trouble. We've also got your husband's hard drive, madam.
I thought I'd got the safeguards on. Must have forgotten.
Did they find anything on the computer, ma'am?
Well, actually, it was rather sweet. 6,000 images of Pippa Middleton. But if you'll excuse me, I've just got to go and do a bit of moonlighting. Shouldn't take a minute. Yes. Are you paying too much for your car insurance?
Have you seen what's going on over there? Yes. They're trying to fit me up for a crime I never did. Yes. Speeding and looking at the posterior of a very attractive young lady. I don't get it. Since when has there been a crime? They can't bang you up for that, can they? Perhaps they can. I've done nothing. If you want to arrest someone for a crime, get Princess Beatrice for that hat she wore at the royal wedding. It looked like a mutant curly-whirly. Brown fuzzy felt, yes.
Now, so, Philip, Louis, Stavros, Mountbatten, Windsor, you are charged on 365 counts of endangering wildlife and 18 of impersonating a policeman with an Indian accent. How do you plead?
Oh, piss off.
Well done. In other news, how is the search for Colonel Gaddafi going?
Really well.
Super! We've checked under the desk, no sign. My guess is he's in Madame Tussauds posing as a Gene Simmons waxwork. Or Wetherspoons. He could hang out in Wetherspoons and nobody would bat an eyelid. If you walked into a Wetherspoons, there was a man wearing a blanket saying he'd killed people. Yeah, that's just normal, isn't it?
He's been spotted though, hasn't he? He's been spotted in Niger, Burkina Faso and Algeria. So my theory is he might be on a very bizarre interrail trip.
What has he left behind, though?
Loads of stuff.
Yeah.
On his on the doormat of his compound, there was a letter saying, "Dear Colonel Gaddafi, property that may interest you has just come vacant in Pakistan." We have another dictator who wishes to move into your area and is looking for a family-sized dictatorial compound.
My favourite picture was the guy with the jet ski. Like that guy. Like, you think that guy... He looks thrilled, but how many opportunities does that guy have to go jet skiing? He's just sitting there going, look at me, I go jet skiing.
They also found, like, a photo album with photos of Condoleezza Rice in...
This is the weirdest thing,
Yeah.
Full album.
Actually, it was
full
probably a prospectus from Black Beauties.
When you rent somebody from Black Beauty, do they do the theme tune? Because that would be
You
cool.
rent. Is that how you see it? You rent them. Don't forget to rewind your prostitute before you take her back.
I'm sorry. Am I stripping the dignity away from prostitution there? I apologise for that. No. You're doing most of this for the government, you know.
After half an hour.
After half an hour. Half an hour.
I like your side-to-side rocking motion, though. I'd suggest that's quite an unusual technique. But I don't know much about Ireland.
This next round is our version of Question Time called Ask the Politicians. I'll play the host. Joe, Frankie and John, if you could move up among the audience, please. Ready to ask your questions to the politician sitting at the front here. If you'd move in. Rory, you're Tony Benn. Hugh, you're a Tory spokesman. And Al, you're the voice of the silent majority. Can we have our first audience question from, I think, the intense Scottish man there, please?
Yes. Can I ask the panel what single law they would introduce to make Britain a better place?
Tony Benn, would you like to come in on that?
Well, you see, straight away, I wouldn't do a single law because I'd say a lot of laws because that's got an S in it. But the best law, I would say, was Andrew Bonar Law, who was a Conservative minister and became Chancellor of the Exchequer in 1910. Wonderful person. I met him, and I met him the first time. And he was the first person who got me interested in politics.
But the answer to the question, Mr. Benn, if you could possibly...
Well, you see, there we go. We're concentrating on personalities, not on issues. I think that's completely wrong, and I'll come back to you later.
OK. Tory. Hugh?
No foreigners.
Is that what you'd say?
Well, I think it's time for the decent, honest, hard-working, law-abiding, tax-paying, normal, sensible, reasonable, down-to-earth, hard-working, normal, law-abiding, down-to-earth, sensible, reasonable people. Hard-working, law-abiding, tax-paying, fleeced, decent, honest, hard-working, law-abiding, normal, decent, reasonable, sensible, law-abiding, normal, hard-working people of this country who don't want to pay their speeding fines, regardless how fast we may have been going the wrong way up the slip road, on a phone, no seatbelt, no tax, no MOT, no insurance, whilst eating a burger and receiving oral sex on the telephone. Haven't you got anything better to do, officer? It's time for us to speak. And bring back hanging, obviously.
OK, the lady there in the middle. You have a question?
Indeed. Now that Cub Scouts don't have to swear allegiance to the Queen and God anymore, who do the panel think that they should swear allegiance to?
Tony Benn.
I think you have to go a long way to beat Clement Attlee. You look at the 1945 Labour Manifesto, it's a poem. It's a wonderful poem. But, no, or Asquith.
Asquith, OK. Attlee or Asquith?
I, personally, have sworn allegiance to a Cub Scout. He's absolutely lovely and he does marvellous things with his woggle.
One phone call, you're on a register.
Who would you pledge allegiance to? Voice of the silent majority?
Well, speaking for the people who would have shot that burglar a third time... shouldn't have done that anyway. He should have dug a pit with steel spikes and manure on the spikes and a rug on the top. In comes the burglar, falls in. Who's there? Who will I swear allegiance to? Yeah. Well, in fact, this is nonsense, isn't it? It's got to be the Queen. You've got to go back to the Queen. And I love the royal family. Not just out of mindless loyalty.
It's not that, then what?
I fancy her. They're all dirty, those German birds, aren't they?
What are politicians clamouring to condemn this week?
Oh, it's Saddam's death.
It is the hanging of Saddam.
They couldn't have made it more undignified. They couldn't have made it more undignified if they'd hung him from a swing ball. You, Saddam? No, yes!
But there was some good news, wasn't there? Because the actual charges against him for his second court case, they've been dropped.
They've been dropped.
So that was good of them. Yeah. They were thinking of charging him for those as well. Double death, maybe, but no.
At worst, a mixed week for Saddam Hussein.
I'll tell you, 2007's not gone well for him so far.
How many of you actually watch it on YouTube? Just genuinely?
Oh, yeah.
It was amazing. It was
horrendous. It was disgusting. I only gave it 2 stars.
Yeah. It's true.
It was actually John Prescott was the person who came out and was the person to condemn it. And that's pretty bad if the only sort of moral conscience in your nation is a man who has done things to his body that has turned his internal organs into patty. A man who couldn't wear a tie and a belt on the same day or he'd turn into sausages. He's the moral heart of our country.
What's really interesting about it, everyone was really upset about Blair going on holiday with the Bee Gees, but this week there's actually a law going through that gives the major oil companies in the world 75% of the profits in Iraq for the next 30 years. And you kind of go, well, that's the thing to get angry about. That's sort of proof that the war was illegal, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's not desperately
It's sort
funny,
of, in another way, it's also the proof that the war was kind of worth it. At least we got something out of it. Thousands of soldiers just to murder some beardy guy? No. Oil, that's worth a lot of money, I've heard.
Let's see him say that in front of a load of Guardian readers. Kill him! Throw organic beans at him! I'm too weak. I reckon it would have been good just to have put him in the Big Brother house. Imagine that. I don't know if you've seen it, it's been rubbish this series. I've got day 3, Jermaine and Saddam and Lou walking towards the diary room.
He would have come in through a trapdoor in the ceiling.
It would have been worth it just for the surprise on his face.
Yeah.
Hang on. Wait a minute. What's Jay's mother doing here?
I am in house.
But we are apparently in the middle of a countryside crime wave. Have you seen this?
If I lived in a country, I'd be delighted if someone did a crime because I'd be bored out of my mind. Thank God you've turned up with a shotgun to steal my rhubarb. Could you kill me on the way out?
Some bloke sold rhubarb from an allotment. You have to
tag it.
Just
Why don't they tag it?
Imagine the phone call. Just some deranged. They've taken it. It's gone. My prize-winning marrow. Is there no God? You have.
Surely you just put rhubarb down his sleeves and then go.
Had I been there, well, you can't ever feel sorry for the. That's the lowest rung of criminality, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Finish. Just. I'm going to kill myself here.
Beautiful. Vintage mock the week. He brought up the subject just so someone else could do a joke on it. Surely he might have been working towards the punchline. You ignorant.
Jesus.
I think we get a higher chair for the joke umpire.
I have a feeling the Microsoft Paperclip's taken some cocaine. But I like it.
That's great. Little animation of the clip go. Good, yes. That's a really good letter.
The point I was going to make is, surely, right, fellas, but surely if you're a bank robber, you're sexy, you're dangerous, you can get diamonds for your lover. If you steal from allotments, what hope have you got, you know? You've got dirt underneath your fingernails. All you have to offer is broccoli. You know?
Hey, a woman who's going to have sex for broccoli is going to be dirty.
I was wondering wondering if one of the reasons
Possibly quite
they were
healthy.
trying to steal...
Wouldn't that be... Hang on, sorry to interrupt you, Andy, but wouldn't that be the...
Frankly, I wish to go on the record and say I have now lost control. The next topic is a war on terror. Who wants in? Frankie.
George Bush says that when he retires, he's going to make his living from speaking. Yeah, play to your strengths, eh, George? That's like Abu Hamza having a career doing shadow puppets. I watched the footage of Saddam being executed and it really made me think. It made me think, is there nothing on the internet that I won't masturbate to? He put his death on YouTube. I mean, it's really got to bring it home to you as a great dictator when your death gets less hits than a fat Korean boy body popping.
Okay, in other news, who's been granted a last-minute injunction?
The Travellers.
Yes?
Yes.
At Dale Farm.
At Dale Farm.
There is a sort of irony, isn't there, in the fact that the Travellers don't want to go anywhere. It's sort of...
I saw one of the women interviewed from the site and she said, putting a traveller in a house is like putting a traveller in a prison. But yet they're building them.
You can put a traveller in a lodge.
What is that character? It sounds like one of the Terrorhawks.
God! They're always claiming this
You've gone through
mysterious...
so many different countries with that accent as well. Welsh, French...
What do you think?
To be fair, it did tell me about...
I'll get you, Smuffs!
When I first heard about the story, I thought, I really hate travellers. And then I realised it's the Irish travellers, it's not those twats who go around the world for a year after university. And I calmed down. I'd love to see the bailiffs going after them. No! You'll never take my dream catcher away from me! It's not a dream catcher, it's string.
It's a shockingly disappointed gap year, though, if you end up in Basildon.
Yes.
Depends where you start, I suppose. That's why the people of Basildon are so upset. They're just sick and tired of these posh people moving into the area.
Who else come out and support him?
Everybody, loads of people. When I first turned the news on, there were 2 bishops and an actress turning up to a caravan site. I was hoping for some low-budget 70s porn. Didn't turn up. And then Gloria Hunniford, who it turns out wasn't there in support of them. She was there for her new show, Wish They Weren't Here.
The arrival of the bailiffs was one of the biggest anti-climaxes I've ever seen. There was about 30 of them, and they had one 1970s loudhailer between them. And the lead bailiff went, Is there anything I can say to persuade you to leave? And there was a Life of Brian pause. And one... Speak up! Is there anything I can say to persuade you to leave? Then there was another pause, and someone went, Fuck off!
No, you just hear the woman, she went, I put a curse on you, I put a curse! They're always giving it the curse, don't they? The minute it kicks off, I put a curse on you. I
Oh, in that case, we'll leave it then. You stay where you like.
Right now, everybody watching this has got their remote control going, there's something wrong with the sound.
The first subject is lines you wouldn't hear in a TV detective show.
The suspect has got a gun, but it's okay. Gaz has arrived and he's brought chicken and a fishing rod.
I'm not doing it. This is a midwinter murder. It's freezing. It's not in the contract.
And as you can see from the samples we've taken, that we've scraped from under her fingernails, she was manky.
We were a policeman that got hit by a car and thought that he'd woken up in 1970. He were wrong. It were present day. This is CSI Hull.
Sergeant, if you look closely, there are semen stains all over these bed sheets. Let's book into the Holiday Inn instead.
Inspector, has anyone ever said that you look an awful lot like David Jason from Only Fools and Horses?
Yes, Miss Marple, we've had the lab results back, and it's very interesting. Actually, it's thrush.
He fits the profile. This is going to be a really boring episode of Hole in the Wall.
You're probably wondering why I've asked you all to gather here in the library. Sorry. Probably wondering why I've asked you to gather in the library.
It's the TV presenter Noel Edmonds. Have you any idea why he was killed? It's the TV presenter Noel Edmonds.
Ken Stott is Detective Inspector David Sod in Sod's Law.
Well, we know now who's responsible for the killing. It's society, yeah? Yeah, you want to think about that,
The body is that of Eamon Holmes. We may need a little more chalk.
OK, the next topic is... unlikely things to hear in a police station.
Here, Sarge, the microwave's broken again. Taser that meat pie for me, will you?
I know it's unlikely, but I don't suppose anybody has handed in Colonel Gaddafi, have they?
I noticed the burglar making his escape. At this moment, I cursed the police cutbacks and gave chase, shouting, Nina, Nina, Nina.
All units be on the lookout for a purple Renault Clio. Registration number, Saffron Doily 22, Bongella Chrysanthemum. Hiya!
No, we didn't manage to evict many of them, Sarge, but the good news is I got some lucky heather.
No, I've not come to report a crime. It's just that I really missed the bill, so I thought I'd pop in for an hour.
Here, Sarge, pass us the art section out the Guardian, will you, mate?
Right, listen up. We've got a new man starting. He's half man, half horse. It's Inspector Morse.
Yes, our new 50-inch plasma screen TV. It is rather nice, isn't it? Well, if you can't beat them, eh?
I am charging you with the murder of Mrs. Thompson. That'll be £7.19, please.
Right, listen up. There's a giant fly attacking the station. I've called the SWAT team.
Thank God you've arrived, officer. Some bloke just jumped into the boot of my car and shot himself 14 times.
I was about to arrest her, Sarge, but to be honest, my bottle went because she shouted out, "I'm putting